On Tech News Today, we've got new details on GoPro's virtual reality camera rig, including the price. Plus, a porn-centric video player has been caught taking pictures of its users in order to blackmail them. And it turns out that self-driving cars can be hacked too. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, September 8th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. My name is Mike Elgan, and our co-anchor today is After Nine's content czar, Joe Panettieri. Hey, Joe, how you doing today?
Mike, I'm off to a good start this week. How are you?
Great, great. I'm hearing vicious rumors that it's going to be 103 degrees here in Petaluma at the Brick House. Fortunately, it's only like about 65 degrees in here thanks to the miracle of air conditioning. So that is very exciting. Well, tomorrow, Joe, is the big Apple event, and it's all very exciting. And Business Insider actually had a really interesting chart that they posted showing that in the most previous fiscal quarter, Apple's iPhone business alone brought in more revenue than all the revenue brought in by HP, Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, Google, Intel, Oracle, eBay, and Facebook. In fact, just to compare, you tend to think of these Silicon Valley giants, just to compare, Apple's iPhone revenue, just for the iPhone, not the computers, not the tablets, not any of that stuff, is $31.4 billion, was for the quarter, and Facebook's was $4 billion. 4 versus 31. So it's astonishing how important phones are to Apple. You know, they got into this business for the first time in 2007, and now it's the whole company, basically. It's like by far the most important business that they have, and they've got to keep going, and it's not an easy task, so we're going to see what they announce tomorrow. Do you have any thoughts going into tomorrow's event? Any predictions or any observations?
Two quick ones, and they're totally self-serving. The first is I do need a new Apple TV. So I'm hoping we get all the news we're expecting there. And then number two, you know, Mike, I think your point about the phone is reinforced by Apple Watch. And I wonder if we'll hear absolutely anything about Apple Watch and in what context, because more and more people are starting to think that Apple Watch is nothing more than an extension to reinforce iPhone sales. So we'll be watching.
Yeah, and you know the rumors are that Watch OS 2, which is a great name, Watch OS 2, sounds like a magazine from 1989. Is going to come out, and that's going to enable. We're hearing that you know, apps to run on the watch itself without the iPhone, so you can just go running, jogging with it, and don't bring your iPhone. You'll still be able to play music and do a bunch of other things. We're also hearing that there's going to be a cheaper rose gold version of the watch. We're hearing there's going to be a whole bunch. They realize, hey, man, people have spent a fortune for these bands. Let's make some more, because of course, people. It's one of those rare items where people will buy several of them, and that's just good business, Joe. And you know, I actually had a realization on this show when we were talking about the Apple TV rumors, and the guest that we were talking to made the point that the sensors and the touch display and the microphone and all of that stuff that's supposed to be on the upcoming Apple TV remote control unit is very similar to what you find in a phone. And it's also kind of expensive stuff for a remote control in a $150 product. So that got me thinking, actually, on the show, wait a minute. Remember when Steve Jobs said, we've cracked it. We finally cracked the code to do TV, you know, for TV control, for TV remote control. We have the big secret. And I'm going to go out on a limb irresponsibly just this close to the event, because if I'm wrong, I'll be proved wrong very soon. And that is to say that the cracking of said code is, in fact, the use of an iPhone as the remote control. And if you don't have an iPhone, yeah, they'll sell you a remote separately. That's just what I'm thinking at this point, that really I think the next Apple TV will be designed to be controlled with an iPhone app. and an iPhone. So we'll see if that turns out to be true. One way or the other, we're almost certainly going to see huge updates for the Apple TV, including a game centrism that didn't exist before, a game app store, all the rest. So it's going to be an exciting event. We're going to cover it right here at 10 a.m. Pacific. So tomorrow's show will be at 9 a.m. Tomorrow's Tech News Today will be at 9 a.m. Pacific. So tune in, 15 minutes before 10 a.m. tomorrow, and we're going to live blab that with some Apple experts. And it's by far the best place to engage with this event. So we'll see you here tomorrow for that event at 10 a.m., followed immediately by a special Mac Break Weekly. Well, enough of that Apple company. Let's jump right into the regular news. Reuters reporter Julia Love has an exclusive that says Apple is accelerating the hiring of artificial intelligence experts, including a brain drain of PhDs from universities. Julia joins us now. Welcome to the show, Julia.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Now, why is Apple aggressively hiring AI experts?
Well, I think features like Siri, which came out in 2011, started out as just sort of a quirk and a novelty, but now people are increasingly expecting their phones to know them and learn their habits and anticipate them. So, say if you are going to an appointment, people want their phone to advise them when they should leave based on traffic. If you usually listen to a playlist while you run in the morning, people want their phone to cue that up for them and kind of reduce the friction. So those are becoming key features, and how that happens is machine learning. So Apple has really been building up in that field.
Hey, Julia, are there any clues in terms of whether this will just be for apps, sort of I ask that is because Microsoft and Amazon, for instance, have machine learning applications up in their clouds that data scientists can go and use those publicly and create their own applications. I'm using the full word applications rather than a smartphone app. So do you think Apple is going to do something with the Apple Cloud here, or is this more of a user interface and/or an app system for the phone?
Well, interestingly, Apple's approach, in contrast with Google and Microsoft, has been to conduct as much of this analysis as possible directly on the phone rather than sending data up to the cloud. I have heard some people speculate that perhaps in time Apple will make, some aspects of will open up some aspects of Siri to developers and enable them to kind of build that into their apps. But it seems like we're a ways away from that still.
Can you give us a sense of this scope of this hiring, this brain drain, as I called it? How many people are they hiring now, and how many people have they hired in the past, generally speaking?
Well, one of the challenges of this story was, Apple, of course, does not comment on the size of its ranks, and former employees that I spoke with didn't have a true handle on how big the team was, just because there was no discrete team. These people were kind of dispersed all across the company. But with that said, people have estimated that the number of experts Apple has in this area has tripled or quadrupled in recent years. And I spoke with recruiters who told me that for a company to have, 86 openings at one time is quite a lot, even though data science is such a hot field.
Hey, Julia, how about this machine learning capability? One of the key terms we hear thrown around a lot is M2M. Machine to machine. And I'm curious if Apple here is making the hires to develop something where the iPhones are learning from each other. So it's almost a grid approach with millions, if not billions of iPhones communicating with each other and learning from each other, and then out comes the app.
So interestingly, at least under Apple's current approach, that seems to me like something that they would be unlikely to pursue, because their approach has sort of been to treat the phone as kind of like a black box where the phone is equipped with certain algorithms and can learn your personal tastes and habits, but that information is not shared with Apple servers, much less another phone. So I think their privacy views are so strict that that seems a rather unlikely effort for them in my view. But who knows what we might see down the line? Maybe they can find a way to do that in a way that that gels with their privacy views.
I guess that Apple's entree into this, aggressive entree into this field is not surprising. Everybody's doing it. Google, of course, Facebook, Amazon. It goes on and on. It's a great time to be in that lucrative artificial intelligence racket if you're a scientist.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's an AI scientists market. They can pretty much write their own ticket, I'm guessing. Julia Love,
they're saying it's the hottest area of computer science these days.
It absolutely is, and there's so many flavors of it as well, machine learning and all the rest. And it's really exciting and really interesting that stuff is totally going mainstream. Julia Love is at Reuters.com and on Twitter at @ByJuliaLove. Julia, thanks for coming on Tech News today.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
We got some more news coming right up. But first, let's talk about hiring brilliant people. I was listening to a podcast over the weekend, and it reminded me of our sponsor today, which is ZipRecruiter, because it was about coffee. I thought it was a new podcast to me, and I thought I'd check it out. It was supposed to be about coffee. It was actually about running a coffee shop. So it was like a podcast for people who own coffee shops. And they got into this big conversation about how to hire baristas. Like you should, and there was one guest on the podcast who said, I like to hire rock stars who are going to work for me for 6 months to a year and then go off and start their own coffee shop. And the other one's like, are you crazy? That's crazy talk. I like to hire people who can follow directions, who can learn, and who will stay with me so that all of the investment of time and resources that I put into that employee don't leave when they go and become a rock star coffee shop owner of their own. No matter what your philosophy is of hiring, you've got to hire just the right person. And of course, the challenge for that is the fact that the internet is filled with job boards, with social media places where people look for and find jobs. And so how do you go from site to site to site recruiting all these people? You do it with ZipRecruiter because they'll do it for you. You just post, and with a single click, off it goes to more than 100 job boards and social networks. So easy. And here's the best part. You're going to get a ton of people coming back responding to your job. And what do? You don't want to be flooded with that. You don't want to miss that best candidate in the haystack of not so qualified candidates. And ZipRecruiter will help you do that. They let you set up specific ways to filter who is qualified, who isn't qualified, so you can focus on the people who are genuinely qualified. It's such a great service. It'll save you so much time. But despite the time savings, despite the money savings, despite all the benefits of how you can tailor the emails to look exactly like it's from your company, even though it comes from ZipRecruiter, the very best reason to use ZipRecruiter is because you'll end up with the best employees, period. And that's what it's all about. We have a happy customer named Lisa who has a user testimonial who said, I'm a business owner yet novice when it comes to navigating these job boards and searching for qualified candidates for my company. This morning was another near catastrophe that I avoided due to the help of one customer service agent by the name of Jed. He not only helped me out, but went above and beyond to make sure that I was satisfied. And for that, I'm grateful and would recommend ZipRecruiter to anyone. And through me, she just did recommend ZipRecruiter to everyone. So today you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. That's ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. And we thank ZipRecruiter for their support of Tech News Today. We first heard about GoPro's upcoming 16-camera virtual reality rig when Google announced it at Google I/O in May. Now, after all these months, new details about the product are emerging. Sean O'Kane is a reporter for The Verge and joins us now to talk about it. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Now, how much is this thing going to cost?
This is not going to be something you're going to be able to find in store shelves. It's going to cost you $15,000 right on the nose. No need to even bump it to like $99 or 99 cents to try and get people to buy it. This is $15,000 flat.
So Sean, who are they targeting here? And I also want to ask a specific category. And any hope we're going to see this over football fields or over ice hockey stadiums?
I mean, honestly, I think that's probably where you're going to see a lot of it come really early with people using this thing. It's called Odyssey. It's, you said, it's 16 cameras, and this is for pros only. This is, if you look at the application on the website, first off, you have to apply to be able just to buy it. And if you look at the application, they ask you things like, you know, what sort of immersive content, if any, have you already filmed? How do you film it? How do you plan to use it? So it's almost like you have to write like a grant application, except for at the end of the application, you maybe get to pay them money instead of get money from them.
So this is kind of like the Google Glass Explorer program or something like that. Why is that? Why are they limiting it? Is it because they would have trouble manufacturing all those cameras?
I think, well, yeah, part of it is, I think, because it's very purpose-built. You know, you're not just talking about the 16 cameras, but you're talking about a rig that they built with very specific, precise dimensions that, you know, this thing's only able to stitch as well as it does because of these dimensions and that they helped build with Google. But it's also because it is very much like Google Glass. If you open it up to lots of people and make it really affordable, they're going to find probably lots of problems that a professional or a non-professional wouldn't know how to deal with. So it's very easy for GoPro and Google to really control the message about their sort of brand of virtual reality that they want to create with this by keeping it hyper limited, keep it really expensive, and make it something that really only production houses and maybe a handful of filmmakers with some money to burn who have been looking for an easier way into this are going to really want to actually try.
Hey, Sean, any more details on the process for getting your hands on one of these? Say I am a qualified person. So I fill out this form. I state how I'm going to use it. Is it days, weeks, or months before this thing arrives? Or do I have to wait to be vetted? And for how long?
A little bit of everything. It seems like you basically just have to wait throughout the rest of this month while they kind of take in more applications. And then by November, they will have picked some people and started sending these out. Because obviously they got a lot of press about this back when they announced it at Google I/O, and it's sort of hit a second round here. So they don't want to wait too long to be able to get a video out there that they can say, hey, look, like we put this in the hands of X filmmaker and they made this really awesome virtual reality short. They want to get it out there quickly. So I think this is going to be in people's hands in the next 2 months probably, and we're probably going to see videos coming to YouTube even that'll be interactive soon after that. I would imagine probably by the end of the year.
I'm going to bolt this thing to a helmet. I, for one, am going to do that. Now, of course, people may be tempted to think that, you know, what you do is you have these 16 cameras and they'll just record video and then you're done. But that's not the case at all. There's massive processing that has to take place behind the scenes after the video is shot in order to render a convincing virtual reality 3D video kind of scene, and that all takes place with Google's Jump platform in this with this product. Can you tell us about Google's Jump? What is it? How does it work? That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a whole other reason why they're keeping this really limited, because like you said, there's a lot of really sort of machine learning and really smart data being thrown at this thing on Google's side. So they're really cutting out like a slice of their server power, dedicating it just to processing the stuff that all these content creators are going to be making with Odyssey. And so Jump is essentially 3 parts. One part is the camera. So right now, Odyssey is the only one that's been built and shown off. But Google has open sourced the plan so other people can come out and come up with other ways to use cameras different from GoPros to make their own Jump camera rig. The second part is all that back-end software. So once you've filmed everything, it'll be able to automatically stitch this all together. And not only that, but they showed in the video at Google I/O this summer, their software is smart enough to really sort of take those 2 images that it's making a stereoscopic image from and really get some depth on the different angles that those 2 images provide. So it's almost as if you're seeing more than what the camera saw. So it's going to give this 3D a little bit more pop than some of the 360 videos that we've seen so far. And then the third part of Jump is giving a way for people to see it. So, you know, getting more cardboard into the hands of people, the VR viewer that Google made, as well as integrating this into YouTube so that you'll be able to, you know, next year at this time, it'll be just as normal to go to YouTube and pull up a VR experience as it has been to go and pull up a music video.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Can't wait to see these videos as they come out. And you can all start out there a betting pool as to whether or not Leo will buy one of these things for the brick house. So I'd put it at about 50-50 at this point. Sean O'Kane is at theverge.com and on Twitter at SOKane1. Sean, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. A researcher at University College of Cork in Ireland claims to be able to hack self-driving cars. The researcher, Jonathan Petit, who is also principal scientist at Security Innovation, says he can trick a self-driving car into believing that pedestrians, bicyclists, and other cars are in any location he chooses, causing the car to stop or swerve to avoid the non-existent object. The only tools he needs are a laser pointer and a Raspberry Pi. The technique involves recording different pulses in commercially available LiDAR units. LiDAR is laser ranging for these that most of these self-driving cars use. And then he plays them back pointed at the car. Or the car can be overwhelmed with signals, which confuses the self-driving car into thinking it's surrounded on all sides by obstacles. Joe Panettieri, this is really interesting from a technology point of view, and it's interesting that this research is already being conducted, but I'm not worried at all. I mean, these things are years away from being actually on the highway in any meaningful way. Still, it's kind of interesting that people are already hacking these things.
Yeah, I got to admit, I'm a little worried. And the reason I'm worried is because government agencies were so late with the whole drone phenomenon. And now we're coming out with autonomous cars pretty darn soon. I do wonder if at some point car ratings, the way they rate cars for crashes and safety, if they'll be rated for the security of the technology on board.
I hope they will. I mean, I think that'd be a great idea, although it might be difficult to figure that out until somebody actually hacks it, as we learned with the Jeep Cherokee that was recently hacked. But one way or the other, what I'm curious about is how much safer than human drivers do self-driving cars have to be before they're approved. I mean, if they're a little bit safer, that's not enough because people have the creep out factor of the fact that, you know, nobody's driving these things. But if they're twice as safe, if they're 10 times as safe, if they almost never get into accidents, I think at that point, that's when the floodgates are going to open and they'll be allowed on the nation's highways. So anyway, looking forward to it. And, you know, again, interesting research coming out of Ireland there. Well, in our Insecurity segment, an Android app called Adult Player, which is promoted as a video player for watching porn, has turned out to be a blackmailing scheme. The security firm Zscaler discovered that the app secretly takes pictures of users as they're watching videos and then demands that they pay $500. The ransom message stays on the screen once it appears, and even rebooting doesn't get rid of the message. The app is not available on the Play Store, so you're unlikely to have encountered it. You'd actually have to install the APK file manually. So anyway, this is a dirty, rotten trick, Joe Panettieri, and yeah, it's pretty ugly out there.
Dirty, rotten trick, and I have not been a victim yet. Amen.
Oh, good, good. Well, you know, I can send you the link if you want. All right. Well, in courtroom drama, a U.S. appeals court tomorrow will decide or begin the process of deciding whether law enforcement can force tech companies to hand over customer emails that are stored abroad. Microsoft is challenging a search warrant served to compel the company to cough up emails stored in Ireland as part of a drug investigation in the United States. Microsoft says that allowing the warrant to stand gives the U.S. government the power to embark on unilateral law enforcement incursions into a foreign sovereign country. The Obama administration disagrees, saying that it's just a request for records held by a U.S. company. Joe, what do you think? Is Microsoft right, or is the Obama administration right on this one?
You know, I think the Obama administration has got to be very careful here, because once European companies start coming to the U.S. trying to get U.S.-based data back to Europe, then our administration is going to start saying, whoa, 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 wait a minute. It's on U.S. soil. You can't have that. And right now, the administration is saying exactly the opposite, trying to get their hands on this foreign data. So it's not a very clear-cut situation in my mind. There are arguments on both sides of this case.
Yeah, there are, you know, this is just one of many, many cases in which there's a disparity between the undeniable fact that the internet and the data that flies around on the internet and the people who use the internet are global, and this communication is global, and yet law enforcement is national. And what do you do? You know, what do you do when that is the case that you're dealing with? So we'll see how they resolve this in the courts, and of course, somebody's not going to be happy, and I'm sure it'll be appealed even after that. Well, we have a small number for you today, 50. That's how many dollars Amazon intends to charge for its next Fire tablet, according to exclusive in the Wall Street Journal. The 6-inch device will ship in time for the holidays, according to the article, and the company plans 8- and 10-inch devices that are similar to this one, but the prices for those models are unknown, but also likely to be pretty cheap. You know, I wonder, Joe Panettieri, remember when the first Kindles came out, they were subsidized. They were being sold below cost, and of course, Amazon is famous for selling ebooks and other books below cost. I wonder if to reach this $50 price point, they're selling this device for less than it cost them to make it.
Yeah, you know, that could be the case, Mike. And I think Wall Street will be watching closely because Wall Street's always beating up Amazon for course changes overall in terms of this month they're going for profitable growth. Next month they're going for just growth at all costs. The following month they're going for profitable growth again. And it's a whipsaw effect on Wall Street that Wall Street does not enjoy. So we'll see how heavily they market these devices. And to your point, are they subsidized?
Yeah. And of course, it's good business to subsidize them because the more they can get out, the better their business is because they're essentially delivery devices and cash registers for buying digital content at Amazon. So either way, I'm sure they'll make plenty of money. Well, in news, you can use the Raspberry Pi Foundation to ship today a Raspberry Pi touch display. The monitor is a 7-inch capacitive 800 by 480 touchscreen. It's designed both for portability and also to enable a Raspberry Pi board to mount to the back of it. If you're unfamiliar with the Raspberry Pi, it's a low-cost single-board computer designed for hackers, tinkerers, and makers. The Raspberry Pi display ships today and costs only $60. It comes in 6 colored frame options. And yeah, this is a lot of fun. Joe Panettieri, I don't know if you ever tinkered with a Raspberry Pi. I haven't, mainly because I'm lazy and have a short attention span.
You know, I haven't yet either. And one of my great frustrations is that I'd love to see this technology in high schools, in middle schools, in grammar schools. A prime example is I've got a son right now who is looking for some computer science courses, and they're all quote unquote advanced, but they're yesterday's technology. And there doesn't seem to be the noodling and the experimentation in the classroom with technology such as this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to see that as well. I think it's obviously a great idea. Get kids interested early and often, I say. Well, our TNT fan of the day is Jonathan Marks, who sent me this photo via Facebook Messenger. He wrote that he watches Tech News Today and other Twitch shows while at High Tech Campus Eindhoven in the Netherlands. The campus is the former Philips Research Center and is now home to more than 135 companies in high tech, and they employ there over 10,000 people. And if you've been around a while, you may know Jonathan from the radio show he had on Radio Netherlands called Media Network. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. Joe Panettieri, you are the content czar of After Nines. What is happening at After Nines these days?
I guess this is more of a teaser alert, actually. 2-part teaser. Number one, I'm going to be down at a conference in Washington, D.C. This week, hosted by Logic Now. And on the one hand, they're best known for small business technology for managing networks. On the other hand, I think you're going to see some big data surprises at the conference, so stay tuned there. And then a week from today, I think we'll finally unveil what we're actually working on here at After Nine. So stay tuned. I'll be sure to share the details live on the show, Mike.
I'm predicting an After Nines weaponized drone, but that's just my own personal prediction. I have no inside. I only know one person close to the matter, and he ain't talking, so that's my prediction. Well, Joe, thank you so much for calling today, and we'll see you next week.
All right, Mike. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
All right, you too. Let us know what's on your mind. Send email to tnt@twit.tv or call 260-TNT-SHOW. That's 260-868-7469. You can subscribe to Tech News Today on Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, Feedly, Yahoo, TuneIn, RSS, gazillions of options. Please leave a review if you go to iTunes and let us know how you like the show. You can choose other ways to subscribe at twit.tv/TNT. You can also watch us live if you like, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1700 UTC at twit.tv/live. You can also follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at elgan.com. And don't miss our other news show, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific every single weeknight. And that is the Tech News Today. This show is produced by Jason Cleanthes and edited by Anthony Nielsen. My name is Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. Now, tomorrow we'll cover the Apple announcement at 10 a.m. Pacific at twit.tv/live with a special episode of Mac Break Weekly afterwards, hosted by yours truly. So Tech News Today will be 1 hour early at 9 a.m. Pacific. So we'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Take care.